This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monty Moore here with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
You know, every week we're posting new episodes chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com. Got
a question for us? Ask away. Questions, talkmusiccity.com. That's questions at talkmusiccity.com.
Well, welcome back, Monty. It's been another exciting week as we're navigating through these extraordinary times. And we've got a special guest with us again. He now is not really a guest. He's kind of just part of the show. We've welcomed him, the new broker.
He wants to be special, Carey Ann. Come on. Tell him he's special.
Oh, did I say he's not special? That came out wrong. You are very special.
He's very special around here.
You, Jason, yes.
He's beyond special around here. He's the broker of the company of 104, 105 agents. And so we're also grateful for Mr. Jason Hoover and his amazing wife, Mindy.
Yes.
Awesome duo.
Welcome back. Before we get started, let's talk about our amazing sponsor today. Music City Removal is the #1 junk removal service in Nashville. From residential, commercial, and construction, they're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by the previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, for Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute.
It ain't cute.
And I know we're going to be talking about a topic today that ain't cute in your mind either there, Monty.
It ain't cute. And it's time to jump up and down on their silly little uncute heads, I'll tell you what. And that is the iBuyer, my nemesis, Jason Hoover, the iBuyer. You know, Jason, you've been in some of these conversations about, I've said from the day one for 2 years now, the iBuyer does not have our best interests at heart. They keep proving that, and they did it again just recently, and that's why I wanted to share for a moment on that topic with this episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate. Are you okay with that?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So if you haven't heard out there, folks, the iBuyer has recently, the big one, can we name their name? Let's just call them Close Window. People will get the idea. I don't want to get in trouble.
That's safer. Let's keep it safe. I've got a 7-year-old.
And you are quarantined right now, right? Self-quarantine?
Yes, I am. I'm still social distancing myself. So.
Well, we miss you.
We're doing well.
We miss you, Carey Ann. It's almost the same, but not really. But
and you guys are so close to being 6 feet apart.
I know it. We're so close to that.
It looks shorter on camera.
It looks shorter.
I know, it is. Right, exactly. It's a view of the camera.
It's a view of the camera. No, but I do want to bring everybody's knowledge that doesn't know about it, that the iBuyer, in many cases, has bailed on the consumer out there. And I just think that it's time that the real estate community gather around and let's see if we can identify those folks that have been left high and dry, and let's do something special for these consumers. I don't know what that looks like, but make a statement within our communities that it's always a better choice to choose a real estate professional than it is somebody whose directives come from Wall Street or, Seattle, Washington, or San Francisco, California, where they're headquartered and all this kind of stuff. Let's support the real estate community. One way we can do that is let's make sure that we're there. If my point is, we're speaking to our real estate brethren and sisterin, and I'm saying if you know somebody who has been left high and dry, let's make sure that we're doing something to make a statement that will always stand up that the iBuyer cannot do, and that is, first of all, care about the end result. I mean, can you imagine, Jason? Can you imagine you're making plans? You bit the bullet. You took a $20,000-$30,000 hit with one of these companies I'm talking about, and you're buying a brand new home, or you're buying another home, or you're moving out of the state or whatever, and then 2 weeks ago you get a notice that says, "Oops, sorry, but we're backing out of the agreement that we made with you."
Right.
Where's the certainty in that? Remember, part of what their package was. Well, you can decide when we're going to close, and when you're going to move out.
Right. And that agreement, that's a promise. So to me, that's breaking a promise.
Promise, absolutely.
And if you break a promise with me, then why am I going to trust you? I mean, you're no longer my friend.
No, you're not at all.
Well, first of all, from a legal standpoint, how can you break a promise? I'm getting so confused on that. People had the domino effect situation where they were buying and selling, and they were selling to one of the iBuyers, and now they're just not going to sell. How do you just say, because times are tough, I'm just not going to buy your property? I'm confused on that.
I am too. I don't get it. That's one of the things that Connie, my wife, and I have been talking about lately is we need to, why aren't they held to the same standard that the real estate professional is? I don't understand that.
Well, it's just like the inspections.
Right. That's a good point. He brought up a good point yesterday. We're talking about this. How is this possible that the iBuyer, Carey Ann, I know you know this, but when the iBuyer buys a home, before they close on it, they do a home inspection. Okay? Mm-hmm. They know pretty much what's the good, bad, and the ugly about that house. All right?
Sure.
Because that inspector determined that and gave them a big report about it. Okay? Well, then they turn around and sell that to the consumer as sorry, I've never lived there, so I can't. An exemption.
Yeah, they use an exemption, but they did an inspection on it
because they're getting by that technicality. You can never do this as a consumer.
Oh, no.
And certainly we could never do it as real estate professionals. Well, we wouldn't want to do it, but we certainly couldn't do it.
Well, as a listing agent, wouldn't you be pretty ticked off if I, as a buying agent, sent you the whole inspection report?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Because you're accountable for that information.
What do you have to do with it?
You have to pass that information along.
But guess what? They don't.
I know it, and that's what's frustrating about this whole part of that. That's one of the reasons why I don't like them, is they're not held to the same standard that the real estate professional community is. That's not right. And while this is going on, while they're showing their true colors, while they're bailing on people and leaving them high and dry, there needs to be greater exposure of how wrong they are. That's my conviction anyhow. I know you guys are probably tired of me talking about these things, but they're not good for the consumer. They're not good for the community. It's not right that they're passing on properties. They're claiming that an exemption, that they don't know the condition when they have done a thorough inspection of that property. We could never do that. How are they getting by doing that?
And many times we're seeing these Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in many situations, or sometimes it takes a certain situation to see the true colors of anything or anyone. And so, number one, we want to find a way to help these folks. Step one, right? In my opinion, first, I'm always like, find the solution first and help the situation, and then learn from it. And let's do some major education, because right now, this situation should educate multiples if it's, marketed in a way and it's communicated in a way or over communicated in a way that the consumer now understands that this did happen, not only to one, but to multiples. I mean, we've seen it all over social media, and you're hearing just some sad stories. I mean, people were ready to buy their dream home, and now they're just couldn't because they're not purchasing. And how many people connected with that company or one of the iBuyers as an opportunity to, when they're in that contingency situation, right? Many people referred them over, I think, to a specific iBuyer.
Because of certainty, because they were guaranteeing a closing time,
Yeah.
Up until they changed their mind,
Not much of a guarantee.
No, it's not much of a guarantee at all. And it's worse than that, because they made plans based around an imagined guarantee.
Right.
That when there's a little bit of wind of adversity came along, whoops, sorry, we're out of the deal. Sorry, we can't, fulfill it. And, oh, by the way, we're not held the same standard as you are. Carey Ann, can you imagine putting a contract on Sally Sue and Billy Bob's home so they can upgrade, because she's always wanted to live in a new home, and she's expecting their third and so forth. And so there's a lot of lot of reasons why they want to move forward, and they really can't afford 2 homes. So they bit the bullet, 8, 20, 50, however many thousands of dollars by doing so, knowing that they were going to do that because their other real estate friends said, don't do that. But that's where part of the responsibility lies, guys. We've got to make sure as the real estate professionals, I'm not talking about being ugly like I am and slamming people, but I am saying let's communicate. This is the reality of this option. They shouldn't, my opinion, they should not be able to come back from how they've exposed themselves. But the only way that's going to happen is through education and making sure that the consumer knows this is not a healthy choice.
And also communicating the importance of local. We're talking a lot about that now.
Right.
The consumer may think they're local, but they're backed by someone that, is not, that can look you straight in the eye and have that conversation. I mean, when you bring it down to a true local standpoint, it's with somebody with a heart. Now, I understand business is business, but a lot of us in our industry here that are local, there is a heart that overlays
That's right.
What we do each and every day and want to do truly what's right for the consumer. I'm curious to know, since they are guaranteeing cash offers, I understand when you and I are in a situation with the buyer, because I've been in this deal as a seller, and you get up to the closing table and all of a sudden miraculously a denial letter comes over,
right?
And I hear through the grapevine that Jesus told him not to buy the home. This is what I hear in quotations, but again, the denial letter is here, right? Miraculously, when proof of funds were enough to pay it in cash, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So I get that situation, but how do you handle that with this particular iBuyer? I'm curious on how all that works, if they're backed by a financial obligation.
It's one thing for a consumer to feel bad about the economy or whatever and bail. That's one thing, but you don't see that,
right?
Really, not at what compared to what. But these guys have, last I heard, $1.4 billion behind them. I'd have a hard time saying, "Oh, I can't afford to do that" if I had $1.4 billion in the bank. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And two, you had mentioned about local, and this is think shop local. Support your local community. Now, here's the thing that's different. Usually, we think local business is going to be higher. Shop local, spend a little bit more because it's helping your community. But in our case, shopping local, you are actually gaining more.
Right.
You're actually, it's costing you less. So why wouldn't you want to shop local when you don't lose that on average in our market? They're losing about $30,000 on average here. Because
of their perceived truth, which has turned out to be a lie.
Yeah, well, and it's because they are offering market value. And when you see it sold in the MLS, it is market because it's all on the back end.
Right.
Every penny is on the back end that the seller lost.
Right.
So other people are not seeing that part of the story.
Right.
They're seeing the story of, the Jones down the road sold their house to them for $387,000.
Right.
They don't know they took a $30,000 hit.
Exactly. Through carrying charges and supposed repairs and those kind of things.
They only saw the gross.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's interesting. Lesson learned, we've learned a big thing about this is marketing can do some amazing things. And if you have a large, marketing budget behind and you can get in front of a large, sum of people very quickly, we're realizing this through social media. I mean, curiosity turns heads. You and I both don't realize that might not make the right decision until you already, 3/4 of the way into it, type of thing. So how do we reverse engineer the way that they market it, to get that buyer? How do we then capture somebody similar who is looking for that benefit? And you and I both know that that's not really a true benefit anyways, right? We're saying that you can come over here and you probably could actually, gain more or net more with this scenario versus the other. So how do we reverse engineer that as real estate agents or people in your industry? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think first of all, we educate the consumer through this whole experience right now and make sure the word gets out there to everybody that this is not the viable alternative that you thought it was. I think that's one of the first things that we do. Another thing that we do, though, is become confident in our trade where we can do the same things by positioning the homes, priced correctly and marketing it correctly, and we can do the same things. But I go back to what they sold these people on the front end was of the very high ticket cost of predictability, of certainty, of timing,
right.
And all of that went down the toilet. And and their hopes and dreams, because in a lot of those cases, they're not going to be able to rebound from that. A lot of those homeowners are just whoops, sorry, and now they're anyway. Jason,
here's the thing: is their biggest pain point that they are solving is time.
Right.
They can sell their house quickly.
Right.
On top of that, the other pain points is that you don't have to worry about showing your homes.
Right.
You don't have to worry about repairs. Negotiating repairs and doing the repairs. Those are the main things that they are selling people on to this idea.
Right.
Well, a lot of people think that if you go with a typical average realtor that, your house is going to be on the market for, a month, you're going to have all these showings, and that's how they advertise.
Right.
They advertise against us.
Yeah,
we are the bad guys. Let's stop doing this and let us help you not deal with all of this.
Right.
Well, that story is a fallacy, because if we can help you sell your home quickly, very quickly, and, still not cost you $30,000 extra dollars. I'm talking about extra dollars.
That's right.
Okay. After, the compensation and everything, $30,000 extra dollars.
Bottom line difference.
Difference. And you know what? Guess what? You don't want a lot of people, going through your house? Great. We can help you with that.
That's right.
You don't want to worry about doing repairs? Oh, and a little side note here is that, no, you don't have to do the repairs, but they're going to charge you on the back end on that. And they do those inspection reports. But aside from that, you don't have to worry about it. We can do everything better.
That's right.
While still getting you more money.
But it's their marketing that has made us sound like the bad guys, and that they're the good guys. And that's why I want to make sure that every real estate professional out there understands the importance of this right now, to show them how true it is that they have absolutely no interest in doing the next right thing. It's all about taking care of the stockholders. And again, we're all about business. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as it doesn't adversely affect those that we're doing business with. And I'm so tired of them them propelling themselves in the eyes of the consumer as their hero, when in reality they're simply taking advantage of them, and now not even doing, they're even doing worse than that now, is leaving them high and dry, not able to fulfill the dreams that they'd already started.
Well, a big part of marketing, is where they share with us is story sell, right? Story sell. I mean, there's multiple stories that you have right there that can be shared, so as a real estate agent is getting ramped up to maybe prepare for their new and improved listing presentation of something, maybe that's part of it, right? Maybe, let me share with you another option you may hear about, but let me share with you some stories, right? I mean, that might create some education just by stories, and not being, like, you're right. I try to not try to be negative. I try to find the positive in it, but how do you flip it to you're sharing a negative story in a positive manner? How do you do that from a sales standpoint?
Yeah. I don't even try to. Well, I just tell like it is. They suck. I'm sorry. Go ahead. In
our time as a listing agent, your listing.
I didn't really say that.
In your listing.
They really do, though. I'm sorry, Jason.
Me.
I'm sorry.
In your listing presentation, you should be talking about it.
That's
every single time, because guess what? They're already thinking about it. They're going to have, and here's another thing. When you put it on the market, guess who's going to reach out to them? Right? They're going to reach out to them. Yeah. And this is another little trick, is that, so, if you have a listing, I can't go to your sellers and try to persuade them.
No, they can.
Well, here's the trick around it. I figured out was they're coming as a buyer.
Right.
All right. So they're not trying to list your house. So I'm trying to just come to you as a buyer. I want to buy your house.
Oh.
All right. But now to that is they will still work with you on your compensation. Okay. But the only reason I share that story is that your people are going to hear about them. Now,
yeah, you can either let them hear from them, or you can remind them you're going to hear from them. It's going to be a whole different position.
So,
posture.
In that way, if you're the first one that approaches them, you're controlling that story, and you're able to tell the facts, the truth, and everything. Like, here's what's going to happen. Here's what you're going to possibly be seeing, and that way you're controlling that whole situation as the realtor.
So my bottom line here, Carey Ann, just for the record, is to the real estate professional out there. It's wonderful, and as much as I love Carey Ann, your goal is not to be nice like she is to the regarding the iBuyer. Okay, we have a responsibility, Carey Ann. I'm sorry, but my conviction is we have a responsibility to educate the consumer. That's the only way that we're going to help people save themselves from going through this kind of experience in the future when we do. Because I'm
not saying don't educate them. I'm very much saying educate them and being very clear.
But be really nice while you're doing it.
No, I mean, I'm very clear to when my competition, offers this and I offer that. And at the end of the day, let me show you how you're going to net so much. I totally get that, and I think your passion will show how much you care for the client as well, Monty. I think that shines through when you talk about the iBuyer, because your passion definitely shines through. But absolutely, I mean, I think being straightforward is key, being very transparent, communicating what they've actually done. Now, just so I understand, do they have multiple different programs, and did they back out in all of those programs, or just one of the three, or are they just out altogether?
I mean, they're still selling their inventory.
Yeah, they're selling their inventory because they want to get rid of it.
Right.
As cheesy as that part, that's a whole other side of the story, by the way.
Yeah.
They, in all sincerity, they're not known for doing a great job fixing a house up. Okay, they're not known for being
or listing stuff on the internet properly. We had a condo that was listed as FHA approved, and it was not. Right. So you're right. That does happen.
Nor do they want to make things realistic when you're trying to negotiate with them. They don't want to do any repairs, and that's what's so frustrating. If you'd ever seen the 2 or 3 page repair list that they're approaching Mr. and Mrs. Smith with, we're going to have to do all of these. And then they turn around and sell it having done none of those things. And then when Jason or Mindy come along with an offer on one of them, we're not taking any care, and we're not taking responsibility for any of those things. When they knew about them back over here on this side, when they were buying them, they used it as leveraged and then act like it's not there.
Is Please. It okay to share that last one?
I think so. Yeah, I would. I mean, honestly. Let's take the damn gloves off.
You just did drop your name there, Jason. Please elaborate.
Well, I mean, here's the aggravating.
Share your story.
Sure, it's okay. I mean, if any seller can say, okay, no, I'm not going to do any repairs. Okay, that's fine. But how this situation, they approached it was that, so we send over a list of repairs, and we're not asking for cosmetic type things. We're not asking for just minor things. These were issues. And it was a list of, I want to say like 16 items or something like that. And we narrowed it down. Well, 3 times we sent it over, they rejected. And one time, or two of those times, they said seller, due to the amount of transactions seller has to work, they will not accept any inspection proposals or repair proposals over 10 items.
Now, Carey Ann, let's think about that now.
Yeah.
Think about that now. Your home is in such lousy repair, and somebody's trying to buy it. There's 25 things wrong with it. You give them a list, you knock 10 of those off because, the person's trying to, wanting to buy the home. And the seller's response, in this case, that company we've been talking about, their response is, well, we're too busy to deal with more than 10 items on that list. Like, it's our responsibility to narrow the list down because they're so busy. It doesn't change the condition of the house or the importance of those items which they've asked for. Yeah. It's just a cheesy way that's not, I mean... Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Well, it made us feel like crap. Yeah. And be honest, our buyer was heartbroken over it because she loved the house, she loved the area, and my heart goes out to her. She's a widow, and we've been working with her trying to find the right home, and she loved it. And she was willing to, even there was a long list and we narrowed it down and we did all, and we tried 3 different times. Like, we can't take off these things. I mean, things are leaning underneath that aren't supposed to be leaning.
Right. These are serious things. Okay.
Right. There's growth.
Clearly that was in the inspection report when they went to go buy it.
Which they knew. That's why they're not being held to the same standard that we are. Okay.
Right.
If we bought that property, if any of us on this podcast bought that property, we would be expected and required to convey the knowledge that we had about the property. We can't say, "Oh, I've never lived there, so I'm going to sign an exemption." We couldn't get by with that.
Yeah.
And yet they are.
I thought if I had an inspection done, I'm just educating myself, but I thought if I had an inspection done, and let's say from that buyer shared concerns, right? And I saw that, and that deal fell through, I had to roll that information over to the next.
That's right.
That's why
correct?
They call it
a Tennessee form or something like that.
That's why they call it a addendum.
No, you have to do an updated seller disclosure as well, because now you have knowledge that you didn't have before. Right. And that's if just part of that inspection's given to you, which is more normal because we don't ask for the whole report. But if there's anything that on that little repair addendum that could affect the potentially the value of that property, we've got to just change our disclosure and explain that to everybody. They're not held to that standard.
And time again, I've seen these where you can look at the history that they have fallen out of contract. Well, they had inspections.
That's right.
And nothing has changed.
That's
right. Right. Yeah. I mean, another part where a lot of people don't know when we're talking about the importance of staying local is the backside. It takes a village to close a transaction, whether it's with them or with somebody else. And so everybody working together is so important. But I know for a fact when it comes to the lending side, we can never get anybody to return an email or to return a phone call. And when it comes to trying to do an FHA loan and needing the addendums and or, a THDA scenario and you need the seller affidavit, all that kind of stuff,
right.
It's very difficult, because you're not actually working, even though they're people. I always say they're not really, they're not local. They're not boots on the ground. They're not people that get it and understand what we do each and every day here. So that's the other piece of, if we're moving towards education, it's not just get the contract taken care of. It's get you from contract to close in the smoothest manner, with everybody communicating is the most that we can.
Yeah. So. And when you're looking at buying from them, the agent's not even in Tennessee. So you're working with an agent in a whole other state.
Yeah. I mean, and wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
you wonder why they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. There's nothing good. There's nothing good about it. They could care less. But again, the part of the reason why I wanted to spend the moment to share this again, and I know lots of agents have heard about it, but please, everybody, please, I'm speaking from my heart. Please, let's embrace some responsibility as real estate professionals that are bringing value to our clients and our hopeful clients. Please, let's bring some responsibility by making sure we're educating. We don't have to get as passionate about it as I am, this old dog is, okay, but please bring some real life education and some real life stories and some real life experiences. We owe that to our consumers. We owe that to our community so they don't go down this same path. Please embrace some responsibility in that. Okay? I mean, I rant on the topic, but it's to try to get some attention and some awareness on the topic. These people are not good, and now they're only proving themselves they're not good.
Well, it's always good to see you, Monty, even from a distance. Good
to see you.
Jason, always good to see you.
Same here.
I'm glad we got to talk about this important topic, one that you're really passionate about. Thank you to all of our listeners. For more podcasts, visit us at talkmusiccity.com. That's talkmusiccity.com, and we will see you back next week.
Thank you. We love you.